offshore facilities. So as I just touched upon, savings can be placed offshore. International banks will pretty much want to offer offshore facilities on pretty much everything. I should point out, first of all, you are responsible for making sure that you stay within the law as far as your taxes are concerned, and legalities as well. Banks are not accountants, and in all fairness, they have enough legal and compliance issues to worry about without having to work out the ins and outs of individual clients' tax requirements. So get yourself a decent accountant. I happen to know an excellent UK-based tax specialist accountant. If you want a recommendation, sign up for the newsletter on the website if you want to get that. Assuming you can legitimately place funds, mortgages, loans, savings or investments offshore, then the banks will kill each other to serve you. This is where they can really make some money from you, because they have a level of understanding that you might not have, and the tax regime is more favourable in offshore locations, so they can charge a premium without completely ruining your returns. In other words, an international bank account that doesn't offer a raft of offshore facilities really isn't in the game. So the main reason for, this is my opinion, the main reason for placing any financial instrument offshore is to avoid tax, in my opinion. And tax avoidance is legal, tax evasion is not. The banks generally will never say that in such blunt terms, because, in my opinion, the various regulatory bodies get annoyed when banks openly help people to avoid taxes. But in my opinion, this is by far the major reason for placing anything offshore. In addition, there are security and protection issues. Again, banks won't use those terms, security and protection, because that can be interpreted as a promise. Excuse me, and they cannot guarantee that the Isle of Man, or whichever offshore jurisdiction it is, will always retain political and financial stability. So they will sort of work their way around the subject of security and protection and tax efficiency, because they don't want to make promises they can't keep, and they don't want to upset the tax authorities. However, if you live in a country with a mad dictator who might seize everybody's money tomorrow, then placing it in a secure offshore jurisdiction is clearly quite an attractive option. And similarly, if you are worth gazillions of dollars and you don't trust your spouse, then you might consider putting loads of assets into offshore trusts, so that when divorce proceedings begin, you won't lose absolutely everything. Moving on then to mortgages. Mortgages aren't the guaranteed moneymakers for banks that they were a few years ago. Now that the securitization, that is the repackaging and selling on of mortgages and loans, has pretty much unravelled, banks have to make sure that you're going to be able to make your repayments. Now there's a cunning concept. As a consequence, there are far fewer mortgages available, and there are also far fewer people to whom the banks are lending. And two consequences of this are: one, you have to provide a much larger deposit, reckon on at least 20%, possibly even 25%. And two, if you can provide that deposit and look like a good bet, as far as the bank's concerned, then the banks need you as a mortgage customer. So you're in a position to shop around for the best deal. Not all international bank accounts have mortgage services included, but generally speaking, a bank won't turn you away if you are a good prospect. So the questions you need to ask are: what type of mortgages do they offer? So you can have fixed, standard variable rate, discount rate, trackers and so on. What repayment options can they offer? Capital and interest, or interest only. What currencies can you place the mortgage in? This can be one of the more important questions if you're buying in a different currency from your income. And if they can place the mortgage offshore, and they probably can in most instances. So banks will also focus on certain jurisdictions for which they will lend. So if you're buying in the Channel Islands, they'll probably be happy to lend. Well, many of them will be happy to help, but not all of them are so keen if you want to buy that second home in Greece. So find out what countries they'll lend for.